I'm Richy Contreras. I'm 28. I look 14, but I'm 28. I own Driver's Gallery, a shop in Valparaiso, Indiana. And I have been obsessed with cars and art ever since I can remember. My dad, he was a mechanic, and growing up, he used to work on cars on the side a lot at home. So ever since I was a kid, he would bring me out and have me help him out and stuff. So I guess it kind of just, I wasn't really obsessed with cars until as I got older. I used to hate work, helping him on cars, as a kid. And he kind of always he didn't want me to be a mechanic. He didn't want me to be involved in cars. But it was just kind of like a thing where it was hard to stay away from growing up. I have a really big love for Japanese cars because my dad was also really big into Japanese cars. His dream cars were R34 Skylines, Supras, NSX, RX-7s, pretty much anything from the 90s he was really into. On the other end, he was also really big into, he grew up with American cars as well. He had a 1970 Trans Am, a Camaro and Mustang as well, I believe. But his goal, his dream cars and everything were Japanese cars. And I got that taste and style and everything from him. I love Japanese cars, but I also love other cars as well. I really want to get into European cars, especially any type of old school, air-cooled Porsches. 964s, 993s, any 911. Honestly, even newer ones. The new 992, I'm pretty big into and I love. E46 M3s, E36s are dope too. Yeah, I'm open to it. As far as American cars as well, I really want a 1970 Trans Am, just like what my dad had. So Driver's Gallery started the idea was approached to me by my business partner, John Shelton. He pitched the idea about starting a shop. And I've been approached about starting shops before, it just never felt right. But with John, he had experience in owning businesses. He's a lot older. And I felt comfortable starting a shop with him. I knew that he was about it. He wasn't full of shit. So we started it as a small little shop. We renovated it, built it all of ourselves, by ourselves. And the shop's kind of it's a clash between all of our interests. So art, construction, design, cars, and clothing, merchandise, everything like that. It just kind of naturally flowed and it worked. So we have a really special formula that kind of just, me and him when we first met it, we just clicked. We became best friends. I think the most challenging part about owning your business or even starting up any business, financial, money. It's expensive. You can't really pay yourself too. So I work another job apart from the shop. I work as a dental lab technician. I work at a dental laboratory. So I work on surgical partials and dentures and stuff like that for patients. That also entails working a lot between my business and I guess my career. So it's very hard. I do eventually want to, once the shop, it's hard because you gotta get your business self-sustaining and you gotta have that cash flow, and there comes a turning point where it's steady work, it's steady income, the business is growing, you could start paying yourself. The moment my shop hits that, I plan on fully transitioning to Driver's Gallery and working there full time and putting 110% into my shop. So I went to college for art, and I've always I've always been really good at drawing and painting and stuff. So I went to school for a fine arts degree, and I concentrated on everything. I actually took extra time to soak in and take extra classes. So I took photography, graphic design, any type of screen printing, painting, ceramics, all of that. And at the same time, while I was in college, I was also into modifying cars. I had an old G35 coupe, and I slowly started learning on that. Then I parted it out, got my Z. I bought my Z now 6 years ago, and it's like, to me, art goes into cars. Like, I believe that cars have like a very aesthetic look to them, and I have my own style, as far as painting goes. Like, I apply it to my cars as well. Before I even buy a car, I already know how it's gonna look. Like, I have certain parts picked out for it, colors and stuff like that. I believe that like a car should look as good as it drives. I mean, I don't know how to really explain it too well, but the car is my art piece and the streets are my gallery, pretty much. What motivates me? Do I want to get into like some depressing shit about my life? I don't know. I lost a lot in my life. I lost both of my parents, my best friend, my brother. He used to live here too as well, and a couple friends. And I have like this drive where I just want to succeed for them. I want to make sure that I can make them proud, I guess. It's really hard to explain, I guess I've been able to turn the most worst and negative energy I've ever felt in my life into positive energy. And just the motivation and drive from that it just keeps me going every day. I have a 1992 Nissan Laurel. I found out about him through a friend. His name's Zach Feeney. His Laurel was at Fast Eddie's when my Z was there, and I didn't even know what a Nissan Laurel was years ago, and that was my first one, and I was like, holy fuck, that car is cool, It's super square, it's long, big, it's a very unique car, it's like the combination between a 240SX and an R32 Skyline, and I started immediately looking online at them, and I found the perfect one. Down in Florida, they were called AB Auto and Imports at the time, but now they go by Spirit of the 90s. I saw it, it was Silky Snow Pearl White, the OEK1, which was a really cool, it's a really cool color, and sunroof. And I knew that the sunroof model C33s are extremely rare. It was RB25 swapped, it had a manual swap. It was just like the perfect car, it was so clean. And I was like, man, I'm not gonna find a better one than that for the price point too. So I sent him a deposit, and I immediately thought like, oh fuck, I don't even have the money. I had a 370Z at the time. So I put it up for sale, and I had to sell it within 2 weeks because I already booked a flight to go pick up the Laurel. So I ended up selling it the night prior, and I flew the next day. I took my roommate, and we flew down there, checked the car out, and bought it. And then I was trying to time it at the time because there was a hurricane that was gonna hit, and it was Hurricane Nate. And when I first bought it, I'd say half an hour after driving it, everything was fine. And then I went to drive to the hotel room, and the car died out of nowhere in the middle of the road. Well, there was a boost leak. I had no tools or anything, so we got it to a shop, and it delayed us by a day. They fixed it for free and everything. and hooked up new boost lines to it. It was dying out, but after that, we hit the road, and I hit Hurricane Nate the entire way up. I was probably driving, it was a 17-hour drive from Florida to Northwest Indiana, and I'd say about 10 hours of that was rain, like the craziest rain ever you could think of. It was my first hurricane experience. My windshield wipers stopped working after 30 minutes of use. So I couldn't see anything, and we drove through the night. When we hit Tennessee, we were up in the mountains. It was super foggy, it was downpouring. I had no windshield wipers. No idea how we even made it home, but that's a story I'll never forget about that car. Even the Datsun had a crazy story too, driving it. So this is my 1977 Datsun 280Z. When I was looking to buy one, I guess some people they really want like the 240Z as opposed to the 260 and 280Z. I was 19, 20, I didn't care, whatever I could. If it was an S30, I wanted it, like what I can afford. The 240Z was a little bit priced higher at the time, but I found the perfect 280Z in Portland, Oregon, flew out there, bought it, and drove it all the way across the country. It was white when I first bought it, and then it got rear-ended a week after I got it home. Went to a body shop, got that fixed, and then a couple weeks later I drove it down to Kentucky for Import Alliance. I was doing some crazy, like driving up in the mountains, and I lost control and smashed the whole front end, and then just spiraled from there. It just spiraled. Like, I got it fixed and painted red, and I went crazy, did the flares, fender mirrors, wheels. I did Panasport G7 C8S wheels. They're 15s, 10 in the front, 11 in the rear. Pretty wide, crazy specs. I sourced there's two flare kits. I mismatched it. So the fronts are just wide ZGs, and then the rear are Murugan Shokai work. I sourced everything from Right Hand Drive Japan. I wanted something really aggressive, so I had Panasport G7-C8S wheels built. They're 15s, 10 minus 40 in the front, 11 wide minus 70 in the rear, and I still had spacers because I got the specs from a very old Japanese forum, and I use Google Translate, so I didn't get the specs I wanted, so I had to run spacers on it. The first time I saw a Datsun was actually online on the computer. I was probably 12 or 13 years old, and what I used to do on my free time, I guess that's when like my car obsession started spiraling out of control. I would go on Wikipedia, like type in Nissan, and then go through all the models and stuff, and kind of find the style of cars I liked and what I wanted in the future. I would say that my dad's influence of like older Japanese cars really hit me hard, and I just had like an affinity towards 70s, 80s, and 90s Japanese cars. So I knew what a Datsun was at like the age 12 or 13, and I knew that I wanted one back then. So it's blue now. We had to do some paint touch-up on the car, and I told Dad from Fast Studies, like, all right, I'm just gonna change the color. I wanna do blue. I was always obsessed with, Midnight Club and the actual manga and comic and, the anime series of manga and Midnight. I wanted to do kind of like a little spin-off towards that, and, it's blue now, and I'm just kind of waiting on the motor work to be done. I sent the motor out to Hakon Motorsports. His name's Jared Perry. all the Datsun specialists are out there, and I didn't trust anyone out here to, do any of the machine work and stuff like that. So I'm just waiting on that, pretty much. I'm doing RB26 ITBs. Hopefully it works out. We're experimenting with that. And I'm sticking with the L series because my Laurel's an RB, then my other car is a JZ, and I didn't want to swap anything into it. I kind of just wanted to throw a crazy, L series motor in it and pretty much and modernize the L28, So I'm gonna do a Megascore DCU on it, LS1 coil packs. I got a crank angle sensor from 16 Industries in Australia, so I'm getting the engine harness and everything built from Godzilla Raceworks in Texas, so I'm really excited about that, and I'm hoping that this is the year that I finally finish it and drive it. It's been 3 years. I guess my goal is to just build cool cars, cars that I can take out and enjoy and drive. And I think people should, not that I'm an expert in any of this, but I believe that people should just care less about what other people think and just do it more for yourself, Limit yourself on social media. There's like a dysmorphia or something, you see people like big YouTubers that have these crazy builds and stuff, and then you get depressed about your car, and it's hard not to. I mean, even I've gone like that too, but just remind yourself that just work hard and build what you want and take it out and, for test, just take it out and enjoy it. But I guess to end everything, I'd like to give a shout out to all the shops that have helped me out with body work and engine work and stuff like that. Big love to Ed at Fast Eddie's. He's the one who does all my paint work and paints my cars and everything, all the body work. And Hakun Motorsports right now in California, Jared, he's been such an amazing guy to work with my engine build for the Datsun. Later, guys. Peace out.